Sky howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio.
Look who's out enjoying the August sun. It's Sushi. Thursday. Down below us there's another fence. And that's where the fence line is, where Johnny got that one peeking at him between two trees. So we're going to go down there and try and find that exact spot. Meanwhile, Johnny's walking the basin of the gully down to it to see if we can find, or he can find any more tracks or anything while he's down there. And I'm just staying on the road bed. That I was a little
And it's 15. I just got done measuring it.
He left a nice crater in the ground too. So what was that you were just saying, Johnny?
I just it's 15 from the.
Yeah, no, before that.
It's easy to track once you know what you're looking for.
Well, here in your second consecutive year of actually bigfooting, you don't seem to be having too much trouble finding them yourself now.
Nope.
All right, let's see what else we can find.
Oh, right there.
You guys can see that, I'm sure. Nice crater. Here's a crater. Again, about the same size. Mr. 15-inch track here, running up and down the hillside.
A lot of craters down there, that's why I looked down.
And this is again right in that area where we had filmed that one peeking between the trees last year. And we've been going all up and down this damn mountainside trying to find the spot. Then Johnny filmed it and I saw it when I was here last year. There was a tree down there that had a marker on it. It's on the video. And we can't find the damn thing. That's what we're trying to use to line up the shot. We also can't find the two trees near each other with a big brushy thing on the left hand.
Another person.
Perhaps the track of the infamous Crazy Toe. Not to be confused with Crazy Horse. Crazy Toe.
right.
So there's some activity going up the ridge here. I spotted it as we were driving by. There's the front of a foot there. There's another bigger track down there from a different individual. Same thing here. Track outline. Another one right here. Track outline. But we're not allowed to go up there. So it's about as far as we're going to go up this side. We might go further up the other side.
We're going uphill.
Get your tape handy, throw it on.
The one that going up the hill is about 15.
Same size as the other ones we found up above it.
Always track. And it's about 15. You can see the indent. Different angle. I'm going uphill. Without the tape measure. You can see it. Juvenile. Indent. Up. Toes. It's about 10 inches.
I think we're going to go for a little walk up there. Stands out pretty good certain times of the day. And again, here's that other track that we found many days ago. Now falling apart. Johnny's up there somewhere. He's going to walk down to the end of the ridge and back again, see if he can find any more tracks. The big ones cross down there sometimes, so he's thinking there might be tracks from them up above, so he's going to check that out. Down here 2 weeks ago we filmed this monster, but look what's up above it. It's new. Took out part of the embankment. Scrambling up. I'm going to try and get up this thing. It'd be very steep. Okay. Up above it. Well, there's a giant footprint there. Looks like another one here. Hard to see it. Ground crushed. Where did he go from there? Who knows? They're so good at hiding their tracks. That might be it. More crushed down grass. Trying to find tracks in the Rocky Mountains. Woohoo. People always say, how come Bigfoot only leave one track? Because they only left one obvious track. You guys are worth a crap at tracking, so you can't find where they went from there. And I think I pretty much made my point. It's not easy. You need to know what you're doing, what you're looking for, and keeping in mind that even with all their huge size and weight, they're extremely good at hiding signs of their presence and their passing through an area. And they do their utmost to achieve the goal of being stealthy little forest ninjas, or I should say stealthy giant forest ninjas, and not letting us know where and when they're around. But I'm gonna go walk. Let's walk along this hillside here for a little bit. See if we can find anything else. I'm walking along the hillside, going back toward where I just came from. I think the reason a lot of the researchers hesitate to show you guys stuff like this is because it basically doesn't show up worth a damn on camera, because cameras are two-dimensional, so you can't see 3D stuff. You can see there's been a lot of traffic through here. Things mowing this area down. So they'll find a track and they'll point it out or something, and you know, people just go, I can't see anything, there's nothing there. So if you draw an outline on it, they're like, you're just outlining, no, there's nothing there. Yeah, whatever. No pleasing them. Same kind of people that would they would complain if you hung them with a gold-plated rope. All right, I'm back down to the valley down here. And that's where we were at. We are going uphill. Somebody dragging trees around. Last time we were up here, there was a lot of sign that cows were up here. This time, not much. I already ran into the local Fouke cows. There's a game trail.
Back of the hill, 15. Different direction. And then
Going across the hillside on my way back down. May have another one here. Niger heel. There's my whole foot. Two of my foot. Yeah. Giant, yeah. Okay. More forward we go. Snap, snap, snap.
snap, snap. Tree got snapped.
And we're past where the gate is. You can't drive down here. So it snapped back. And what threw that in the middle? Hey yo, down on Kelly Island. Got sushi with me. We're gonna take a little hike around, see if we can see anything interesting. I'll give you guys the aerial view. We found some interesting stuff down here before, so let's see if we can find some more. Not far end of Kelly Island. There's the next island over. There's the river. See the mountain in the background. There's Sushi sitting on a branch. Alright, we're going to walk around some more and see what else we can find. Not obvious or anything, huh? Two snaps. No little twigs or anything. Well, that's up. They're both up there about 9, 10 feet. And then you can see this one right here. That was up there, I guess, and came down first. And again, how did it not catch that and pin it down when it came down closer to it than where this one just came down? And clearly that was a while back. That one's all dead leaves now. So kids may have built this. The kids didn't do that. More bent up stuff. That kind of doesn't look very natural. Somebody moved a bunch of stuff and moved it up there. Including that. This one got shoved in there. That one got shoved in there. That dead piece got shoved in there. So maybe kids were making a fort. Into a lot of effort. Pretty sure they didn't move that one. Kids didn't. This is the same general area where we found interesting stuff before. So, here's a quick look at it. Once that tree was already leaning this way a lot, I don't know how the top on this one caught it and pinned it. And one had already fallen previously. Why didn't that one catch it? This one when it came down. It's closer to that one, why didn't it catch it? Something else. Look at how that thing's leaning. Like someone's trying to yank it over or push it over or something. Quite peculiar. All right. There's the brush shelter. Figured as long as I was here, it'd make a nice little backdrop, and we can read some more stuff out of William's book. William says, there were some strange twists to this story in which I had become an unsuspecting participant. As in the original case in 1971, the creature was at your home, possibly wanting in your home. It was across your street, it was crossing your highway, it was at the places you'd chosen to relax, except you couldn't, because you never knew where and when it might pop up. It seemed like there was no place that could be considered a sanctuary exempt from a visit from the wayfaring brute. Then, just as suddenly as it had burst upon the scene, it appeared to develop a disdain for the limelight and decided to live out its existence as far from center stage as possible. This led to the assumption most folks had that there was only one of these remaining troglodytes, and it had just eventually died or moved on. The unpredictable monster's heyday, they felt, was over, and the days of the dreadful encounters were gone. Reality proved to be 180 degrees opposite from that erroneous conclusion. Though not yet a walking encyclopedia on the subject, I was beginning to earn my stripes as a researcher. Each story whetted my appetite a little more, and not only left me amazed, but more determined to learn more about what it would take to remove luck from the equation. I wanted to have some kind of interactions with this animal on a more predictable basis. Why I thought this was a good idea, I could not tell you, except that I had this compulsive desire to see one again, and it was becoming like an itch I could not scratch. What had begun with an accidental meeting between the two of us, that it probably had more to do with than I did, had silently evolved into an obsessive process of investigation. I had unintentionally morphed into a Bigfoot hunter. Now acquainted with more people who had also had some type of encounter, my confidence seemed bolstered enough to discuss what I knew lurked in the wilderness. I felt that by twice having had a witness with me during some type of contact, my credibility would be propped up, if needed. Delivering to the public off my little brown truck would definitely make access to a lot more folks available, too. Still, even though they say it never hurts to ask, a conversation about an 8-foot monkey living in their neck of the woods is a hard one to start. And then he has a deer stand photo of the Mercer Bigfoot, courtesy of James Jordan. If you can see that, hopefully you can. And it says, the route I ran a majority of time covered an area about 65 miles north into the foothills of Arkansas's Ouachita Mountains. With the exception of a few mom-and-pop businesses, everything was rural routes and back roads. With no one to talk to, much of my time was spent practicing my array of calls and scanning the woods and fields for animals. Every day I passed by one particular cornfield near the town of Blevins. One afternoon I noticed a large trail going across that was just a little too peculiar. I'd seen lots of animals before on the edge of the field and was familiar enough with it to be positive this trail was new and not made by a deer. Some of the head-high corn was mashed down and some was parted to each side. The breakage was deliberate, as though something was shoving it aside to clear it from its path. As I pulled closer, I looked for tire tracks along the shoulder that might indicate someone had gotten out and walked across. I looked, too, for discarded stalks to see if some lowlifes were helping themselves to stolen vegetables. None. After stepping out of my truck, I noticed a similar-sized trail emerging from the woods directly across the roadway. The height and amount of limb breakage distinguished it from the rest of the trails nearby. The imaginary line I drew between the two walkways told me both were probably made by the same larger-than-normal animal. I was about to drive off when the farmer who owned the field pulled up beside my package car. "Admiring my corn?" he joked. Yes, I answered, and that big old path going across it, too. Yeah, I saw that, too. I heard some loud bellowing down here last night and thought one of my bulls had gotten out, but they were all still in the pasture. Are you sure it was a bull? I continued. Nope, he smirked and headed off. He wouldn't say anything more before driving away, but it was plain what we both were left thinking. I had almost mustered up the courage to ask, but not quite. I'd been laughed at and ridiculed before, and I didn't want it to start again, except I had gained more insight to my quarry. Many of the broken limbs I'd observed on the path exiting the woods were green, and about 7 feet high. They appeared to be in a line along the trail, and we'd had no wind or storms to break them at such an awkward height. Was it deliberate? Could they mean something? Who could I ask? Already knowing the answer to that, it was up to me to find out. From then on, whatever ground my feet was touching, the precise detail with which I scrutinized my surroundings was worthy of Sherlock Holmes. Every day I tried to hone my skills as an observer, as well as scouting for potential new areas for research. If something was there, I wanted to see it. If something wasn't there, I wanted to see that too. What was I looking for? It wasn't long before my eyes opened before me. I began to notice more little things done by common animals, like trails along fence lines, prints beside puddles, and pathways through the grass. I also noticed how much I'd been missing. If I saw a squirrel or a rabbit instead of pests, I saw prey. I realized how I had overlooked the obvious. Finally, I got it. This revelation was not easy for someone who, because of my observation skills, had previously fancied himself a good hunter and fisherman. I had ignored much of what had made me successful at both of these pursuits, but no longer was that oversight going to happen. My fishing forays had allowed me to meet all kinds of people, and one of them generously invited me to join his deer camp in Emerson, Arkansas. Wanting a place for my son and me to safely enjoy the outdoors, I felt the 70-mile drive was worth the security of hunting with like-minded men. Our first evening there was new members' meet night. Greetings were done, and some lies were told, but it was the question asked by a man named David that took me by surprise. He said, "Your son says he's seen a Bigfoot. He told me your story." I had stressed to my son Reese to never tell where my first sighting occurred, and had made it a point of not saying anything to anyone there for fear my membership would be revoked. "It's okay," he said. "I'll bet I can tell you where it happened." Now my antennae were up. "Okay, where?" I asked. He replied, "Gifford Hill." His guess was within 2 miles, and my next question popped out of my mouth without even thinking about it. "How did you know?" My son looked at me anxiously and said, "Dad, I didn't tell him." "He didn't," David responded and began with an account of his own. "I had a friend who duck hunted down there. Since there was no way to launch a boat, he would take a shotgun, rod and reel with him. When he killed a duck, if it was too far out, he would hook it with a fishing pole and roll him in. One day he shot one that landed on the back side of the levee on another pond. Footing was unusually treacherous surrounding the water's overgrown, forgotten banks, so it often took some time to go from one lake to another, a scenario I'd experienced there so many times myself. When he came to the top of the embankment, he was stopped in his tracks," he continued. "In the water was his duck, and standing waist deep in the pool reaching for it was a Bigfoot. Although he'd never seen one before, he knew instantly what it was. The thing bared its teeth at him and growled, then after a short staring contest, bit off the duck's head. He reasoned since he only had birdshot in his shells, the creature could have it, and he got the heck out of there as fast as hip boots will let you run. And he swears to me as a friend I've known for all my life that's the truth," David ended. That's quite a mouthful to tell a man on your first meeting with him. His story and the fact that he was correct within a couple miles of where my awakening had occurred blew me away. If I hadn't been hooked before, I was now. The rejections and disappointments that confront you on this avenue can sometimes seem impossible. Then you hit a high like the above instance and you forget them all. When one trial will pay off, you roll snake eyes on another. It had been a while since I heard anything new, but my diligence was again finally rewarded on a dusty road near Fulton, Arkansas. Fulton is a small community whose notoriety has nothing to do with Sasquatch, but its namesake, named after Robert Fulton, the steam engine guy. Once a bustling boom town grown by commercial trade, only a small residential section, a pawn shop, a liquor store, and one convenience store remains. The abundant farmlands and forests are all that's left as resources for its lasting settlers to work. It was at a junction of both where one day my preparation met opportunity. I got a big old black cloud up there blocking out the sun. I hope you guys can see me. Or maybe it's better if you can't. I was on mile 5 of a 7-mile one-way trip when I spied the doe standing on the berm of the road. Unlike most deer, usually spooking at the first sound of my UPS truck, she stood her ground while staring backwards over her rump. In body language, this often meant she was waiting on another doe or a fawn lagging behind, but it sometimes indicated being stalked by an interested late-rutting buck. The time of year as well as the action of her ears and tail implied it was maybe something else. One ear methodically cocked toward her back trail, then raised in apparent haste. Her head then bobbed similar to a boxer's, and her tucked tail flicked like a conductor's baton. My many years of hunting had made me pretty savvy in interpreting deer behavior, so I was relatively sure something was up. When I got within 30 feet of her, she didn't bolt, but still fixated on what was behind her. High-stepped like a drum major 20 more yards and stopped. After a minute of being close enough to count her whiskers, she fully flagged and then darted away. When she took off, so did I, moving to a curb not far ahead, watching for anything that might be straggling to cross the road where she had been. But there was nothing. Zilch. My truck's elevated seat above the new foliage allowed me a clear vantage point of her perspective, but I saw no trailing suitors or companions. What I did see was a broken oak at the head of the trail snapped off at about the 9-foot mark. That is strange at any time, but especially for a live hardwood in early spring. Past there were only 2 trees twisted into the shape of an X. It was certainly marking a spot, but I questioned what was it signaling, and what had decided this odd location was the place it needed to be. And at this point I should point out, fresh green trees, no reason they should be snapped. There are no huge bears on this island that can do that, and there were no windstorms recently. The last time there was one, those leaves would all have been dead by now, so... I started my truck, he said, and coughed my way through the last dusty trek to the customer's home. After exhaling a long-held oxygen-starved breath, a greeting with the lady of the house disarmed me of any wariness in bringing up my new favorite subject. Convinced the sun set between her house and town, I remarked, "Boy, y'all are out here a ways. If Bigfoot doesn't live out here, it's because it's too far for him to walk." And she replied, "If you think that, then you need to be out here after dark." I perked up as though I'd received an electric shock. "Oh, really?" I bluffed. "Really?" she knowingly smiled. While inside, I was secretly screaming, "Yes!" I jokingly returned, "I'm afraid of the dark." "You should be," she shrugged, walking away, wearing that "I know something you don't know" expression on her face. The deer, the trail, the broken trees, and now her insinuation. Was she right? Should I be afraid there after dark? Or anywhere, for that matter? And of what? What would happen when the sun went down? Part of me wanted to find out, and part of me wanted to make sure I didn't. At last, I had hoped this new way of doing things would lead me to more contacts, and ultimately, the window had opened. I'd gambled and won. I was sure I was onto something and would now be barraged with frightful tales from the darkest woods. However, my next several inquiries were not met with the same success. Disappointed but not deterred, I persevered, hoping for an eventual continuation to this story, or another one from someone else that might be similar. Eventually, good fortune followed me into a convenience store one day, and my wish was granted. I was covering a run for a few days for another driver near a place called 3 States, and lunch had been a long, dirty time in coming. 3 States is a rural area where the corners of Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas actually touch, and are memorialized with a historical marker. You could truly stand in all 3 within a minute. Lanes of travel that morning had been nothing but barren. Gravel-less road beds, or even one rock per mile would have been a welcome sight. I was so desperate for a cold soft drink I would have hitchhiked to each state just to get one. "You look worn out," the clerk observed as I entered. "I am. I'm so hungry I could eat a werewolf, hair and all," I laughed. A straight face accompanied her answer. "Then you need to come down to my house and you'll get your wish. But you better be careful what you ask for." "A werewolf?" I asked. I had to know more about the story behind this. You can see there's a little open spot underneath this one too. You can get in from the other side. This one you can get into from right here. I have to come back here and read another story. I found another structure on the way over here. So let's go look at that one right here. See the other one arch right there too? Yeah. Oh, okay. I do not have to lean over to put my hand on this thing. It's gigantic. Well, this is pretty cool looking. Find a spot where I can clamber over here. Ugh. This looks like the kids, local kids maybe. Holy bleep, did they put a lot of work into this? If it is the kids. I just spooked up 2 deer walking over this way. I cut across the middle of the island, knowing that when I got to the far side of it there would be a trail. And did not know that it came in here. Well, somebody's definitely having fun back here. Where's all the human garbage? If they are coming, other than humans, if the Bigfoot are coming onto the island, which is quite doable, they might be coming on here at night to catch deer, because there are tons of deer tracks on the island, and deer all over the place. Whoever built this spent some time on it, that's for sure. Okay. This thing is just ginormous. And if the kids built this, somebody needs to, I don't know what, cut them off from their meth dealer or something. Holy gee. Wow. Okay. See what else we can find. You can see the trail goes right next to the embankment. In fact, soon it will be in the river. It's eroding away. Hey, you know what's over there? There's another structure hidden over there. That ain't natural. Let's go take a closer look. So, who's making this stuff? Is it the kids that want porch to play in? Or are the biggies doing some construction here? Is that island over there? There is no access unless you want to wade through the river. You can see that's not like, it's not exactly shallow. We've been over there before. We went over there one fall when the water level is even lower than it is right now. And we actually made it to the island behind that, and then the island behind that, which there were some tracks on this one. Humans do go across there occasionally, but the other two on the far side of it, nothing. And if you go down here, the river goes down there and then turns back this way. Beyond that, there aren't any houses or anything really. It's just woods and then goes up into the mountains. So if they wanted to come down here and hunt deer at night, it would be super easy to get on here without people knowing it. So there you go. Quick look at the weird stuff down here on Kelly Island. Okay, how do you disguise a huge structure? You see it? No? We're practically right next to it and you can't see it. Now you can see something. There's another little hidey hole back in there. Okay, let's do that again. Can you see the giant structure? You're literally looking right at it. That's how... If Bigfoot didn't build this thing, the local kids did a great job of hiding it. I don't even have to duck over hardly to walk in here. The kids are pretty friggin' dirty and leave garbage all over the place, so if the kids built this and are playing with it, somebody's cleaning up after them. Thickets.